Hello, friend. I am so glad you are back for another episode of the Happy Whole You podcast. Today, I have Martin Pytela with me, and Martin is a respected functional medicine expert and metabolic typing coach, and he is dedicated to restoring vitality in you and the planet. His journey began after receiving a dozen mercury amalgam fillings as a young immigrant to Canada, which led to years of unexplained health challenges, including severe allergies, debilitating back pain, and other challenges. Despite consulting numerous professionals, none identified mercury toxicity as the root cause. Taking matters into his own hands, Martin embraced a natural healing method, incorporating raw foods, detoxification, and proper food combinations. Over time, he reversed many of his ailments, including his back pain subsiding and his allergies disappearing after a decade of work. Since 2011, Martin has coached over 12,000 clients and shared his expertise with more than 60,000 students. His teachings cover healing trauma, managing stress, weight loss, metabolism, longevity, mindfulness, gut health, and more. Through his life and all of his work, he has put on his website resources and solutions to inspire hope and healing for individuals and the planet. You'll see in the show notes that there are all the social links for you to connect and get the resources that Martin will share with you here. And I'm excited to have you listen in on this conversation. So here we go. All right, Martin, thank you for joining me on the Happy Whole You podcast.
Indeed, it's a pleasure.
Well, please share with our listeners, who are you and a little bit about yourself?
Right. Yeah, well, I started out in Czechoslovakia, which doesn't exist. It was behind the Iron Curtain. I grew up in a family of a veterinarian in a rural setting, 50s and 60s. And that was like back when, we ate food that was family raised or hunted. I grew up really well, but I was growing up with hive rashes and who knows what else because my mom went through the concentration camp experience. So I was pre-selected by genetics for hypothyroidism for sure, and many other things. So when I got to the free world, I left as a refugee and I get myself, I went for the freedom thing. I found freedom, but it was also dangerous. First thing that I did after I got here, I was 25. I went to a dentist and he said, "Well, do you want the silver fillings or the white fillings?" And I said, "Is there any difference?" He said, "Not really. The white ones are extra and they don't last as long." I said, "Well, I'm not stuck on what they look like, so I'll take the silver ones." That was fateful. He did not tell me that there was going to be mercury amalgam fillings, mercury being the most toxic things you can ever put in your body. After all, we shouldn't eat tuna, but we sure as heck put 12 mercury fillings into a young man's face.
Yeah.
So rapid decline. I was a happy, intelligent, when you have the MTHFR like I do,
Which is, for the listeners, that's a mutation, a genetic mutation where you have a hard time with what's called methylating.
right.
And so your body has a hard time getting rid of toxins and processing things.
Right. Well, it comes with its advantages. Yes, you are a poor methylator. You don't detox well and you don't last very long energetically. You need to take breaks. On the other hand, you have linguistic, mathematical, and musical talents above average. So what the heck?
I've never heard of it. I've never heard of that way, but I'll take that because I have that methylation MTFHR as well. So yeah,
you talk above average. Look at you.
Yeah.
And you're smarter than average and blah, 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 all that, right? Most Nobel Prizes are given to people with MTHFR.
Very interesting.
Anyway, so going back, so I I was in information technology. My education is in business administration, computer science. And for 10 years, I kept going to the system. First the orthopedic surgeon, then the chiropractor. My symptoms was mostly that I was falling apart. I had carpal tunnel and plantar fasciitis and bad back and just a ton of physical issues. So chiropractors were holding me together, but not asking the question. And when I went to the naturopath because of an allergy, he said, well, yeah, I can test you, and put me on the Vega machine and said, well, this and this and this, and you can take this and this and that. And I said, well, ultimately, will that cure me? And he said, no. So, so at some point, I think it was the physical disability that got to me. So I went into studying. After all, I'm a systems analyst. I can make my way through papers.
Yeah.
This was 1984, 5, 6. And so I did no internet. It was library time, and behind me is about a quarter of the books I've read. And anyway, I figured it out. It was the medical brain that goes after symptoms instead of after root causes. In management consulting, we always ask what caused it. In medical world, they never do.
Yeah.
And so eventually I figured it out. I finally traced it to the mercury, and I finally figured out that I could use a zeolite and fulvic acid to get it out of me, and did. And then I used freeform aminos and several other things to build me back up. So by the time I was about 45, I was actually okay again. The It took about 10 years for the allergies to go away, for the back pains to go away, for the carpal tunnel syndrome to disappear, all of that. And by that time, I was ready to become a health nut, health coach, because I opened a website, and it's called Life Enthusiast. And now I've been at that for 20 some years.
I love that. It's an amazing story. So you were 25, around 25, healthy, brain's working good, everything's fine.
Yep.
You come into freedom
Yep.
and you're told you need to have 12 fillings put in your mouth. You get the white fillings or the silver. The white ones cost more and they don't last as long. So you said, oh, I don't care what they look like. Just put them in my mouth. I'll go for the silver. And then your health started to decline. And you were like, what is happening? And you started to dive into what could be causing it. And you traced it back to your amalgam fillings, which
Yep.
have mercury, which are neurotoxins.
Yep.
And then you started to clean up your act, some detoxification going on, some restoring with aminos. And then now you are health coaching and working with individuals.
Right.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. I think a lot of health coaches and people that get into this
Yeah.
type of work always comes from a self-healing.
You know,
Right.
it's that the breaking down of the person usually either breaks you or compels you and propels you.
Yeah.
Like, it's those of us who find it to be a motivation to overcome will end up overshooting the target, and we just simply go past okay into, and now I'm going to teach it to the world kind of thing, or
Yeah.
I'm going to share it with everyone. So in the middle of that journey, I also studied and become certified with metabolic typing, which is
Share, yeah, share with us what is metabolic typing? What is that?
for a good while, people have understood that there is such a thing as uh, endocrine dominance. People understood that there is a difference in the autonomic nervous system, two branches, sympathetic, parasympathetic. And people also understood that there is such a thing as an oxidizer. So you could have different dominance in how your body is processing inputs. Sort of like you can be left-handed and right-handed.
Mm-hmm.
You will also have a dominance. The oxidizer will become alkalized by ingesting fats and proteins and acidified with carbohydrates. And the autonomic dominant is going to be the other way around, a mirror image, and they will alkalize with carbs and acidify with fats and proteins, which of itself means nothing. But here's how it works. The autonomic, the fight, flight, sympathetic side lives on the acidic side of the middle, and the parasympathetic, rest, repair, digest, lives on the alkaline side. And some of us wake up on the alkaline side and are alkalized with fats. So that's the oxidizer. And if I eat a lot of fat for breakfast, I'm going to go from somewhat alkaline to overly alkaline, which goes into procrastination, despondence, and downright depression. So that's, you can make it worse. It's like a vector, right? Like we are pointing the vector either toward alkalinity or toward acidity. So if you start in overly alkaline and you point it toward acidity, you'll find yourself in the middle. And if you overshoot it, you find yourself far out. And acidity, that's the fight or flight, that has impatience, getting up early, ready to work, but not very pleasant about it. Socially abrasive, interrupting, elbows, cutting in traffic, get out of my way, I'll do it myself. But anxiety lives there. So you can be catastrophizing your future, or you can be reliving your past, digging in, I should have this and I shouldn't have that, just stewing in that. So it's you're either angry at the world or angry at yourself.
Got it.
So that's the acidity. So the more acidic you make yourself, the worse it gets. Worse.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to back up for listeners to really help understand this. So there are two ways that people are going. You're either going alkaline or you're going acidic, and they both have at the end of the spectrum is not necessarily good behavior, good feelings. And we really want to be in the middle. We don't want to be too alkaline or too acidic. We want to be balanced in the middle, and that's where homeostasis lives.
Right. Yes.
Okay, so you were talking about the endocrine system, which impacts hormone function and
Yeah.
body. And then you were talking about the nervous system. So
oh yeah, so the endocrine system is kind of interesting because it's the two main things that we learn from the dominances. We have thyroid, adrenal, pituitary, and women also have the ovarian option. And well, the thyroid, you and I are the thyroid type. It looks like a Victoria's Secret model in girls, like a volleyball or basketball player in boys, or perhaps the quarterback. Whereas the adrenal dominant in men will look more like a linebacker, weightlifter, stocky, bulky, thick. The limbs, instead of being slender, are thick and powerful. With women, you end up with gymnasts like Simone Biles or something like that. Just explosively strong and very enduring. And then the pituitary, they're kind of different. They're like in India, they would call you kapha dominant. It's the head larger than expected for the rest of the body, usually strongly intellectual, usually even distribution of fat across the whole body. So the thyroid types, they get belly fat. The adrenal types, they get fat all over, chest and wherever. And the pituitary all over the body. So you get to experience the world through your cravings. For example, the thyroid types crave starch, the adrenals craves savory, and the pituitary crave creamy. Yeah, ice creams, whipping creams, that sort of thing, yogurts,
Mm.
which is the food of the intellect.
So, with knowing what type you are, so people are born and they have a type that they are born essentially into it. Would you say that that's correct?
Well, yeah, it doesn't shift. It's the
Okay.
genetics.
Okay. And so then they have this type, and then what is important about knowing this type? Why would someone want to know which type they are?
All right. Well, something fashionable. If I put you on a keto diet, if you're a thyroid type, you'll go skinny. If you're an adrenal type, you balloon and gain weight.
Mm,
Uh, if you are pituitary and I make you a vegetarian, you'll suffer like a beast. You need to be eating organ meats. That's your health food.
got it.
Right. The thyroid types, they are best on lighter proteins like fish and poultry and egg, whereas the adrenal types, they can take endless amounts of red meat.
So we have thyroid type, pituitary type, and adrenal type.
Yeah, and the women, the ones that are the gonadal or ovarian dominant, they drive that through hot food. I don't know if you know some women who can handle gigantic amounts of hot food.
Like spicy food?
Yeah, sorry, spicy,
Yeah, that's me.
right? And what that does, it feeds the ovaries to push the estrogen. So you're eye candy to men because you're very feminine. And if you overdo it, you'll end up looking like a Kardashian.
Gotcha.
You know, too much hips, from waist up size 2, from waist down size 6 kind of thing.
Got it. So there's really 4 types. So there's
Well,
adrenal.
all women and all men, pardon me, all men are thyroid dominant regardless, but women,
Okay.
only some are ovarian.
Okay, only some women are ovarian.
And then at menopause, it goes away.
Oh, okay. I'm taking notes because this is
All
really
right, yeah, you'll be destined at the end of this interview.
okay. So, all right. So now if we know what type we are,
Right.
it sounds to me like we get to choose to adjust our food intake.
Yeah.
Does this also play into because I think of like Chinese medicine and different body
Yeah,
types, different facial types, elements.
yeah.
This play into our physical of how we show up in the world, how we move. Do we move fast? Do we move slow? All of that.
Yeah. The 3 doshas of the Indian system, the Vata, Pitta, Kapha. You can see that, right? The adrenal is going to be mostly Vata. The pituitary is going to be mostly Kapha, and so on, blah, blah. Interestingly, so at the end of the process, which we administer through a quiz, you answer about 120 multiple choice questions, and I'll be able to tell you your type, and then I'll be able to tell you, well, listen, if you want to gain weight, do this. If you want to lose weight, do that. So I'll take that mystery away. I don't have to have you try this diet, that diet. I'll know why, and I'll tell you why. The second thing I'll tell you is how you'll manage your inner world. You're feeling satiated, feeling intellectually powerful, smart, or the opposite, being dull, unable to think through, despondent, or angry, right? 75% of all prescriptions filled in a pharmacy are for mood altering chemicals. I can unpack that for you with food.
Yeah. No, I believe that. That's for sure.
You know, the end of Prozac, the end of whatever, right? Like, we have the answer. I can tell you ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I think that's worth having.
Yeah. So, okay, so if someone how will it help them by finding out this information? What's
Okay, so some people get lucky with the genetic lottery. some less so. So I'll give you an example myself, right? So I'm the sympathetic dominant. You can tell I'm talking fast, I'm buzzed in, and I wake up early. And all of that means that carbohydrates make me more peaceful and fats make me agitated
Mm.
or even more unbearable, like real jackass if I overdo it. And the other side, the endocrine dominance, well, I'm the thyroid type, which means that fats will make me skinny and carbs will make me gain weight. So now I have the tendency towards balance and happy and gaining weight at the same time. So I now have a choice to make. Am I going to be nervous and skinny or calm and gaining weight? And I need to find some middle, right? Like my situation is less of a gift than to others. Some people will be, um, I don't know, thyroid fast oxidizer. They'll never gain weight on steak and salad, and cake is terrible food for them, but they can eat baked brie for breakfast and steak and salad for lunch and, stuff like that. So for some people, it's going to be easy. For others, a bit more challenging. So knowing that will help you navigate life.
Got it. That's interesting. Okay, so can we go through one more time so people are listening? Like, well, I'm wondering what type I am, and they could do the 120 question test with you.
Yeah.
But just for like off the top of their head, so if they are a thyroid type, what would they look like?
They would look like a slender arm, slender wrist, slender ankle. Usually just can put your hand around it.
Mm-hmm.
They would be putting weight on the belly, around the belly button first, and then hips. They would be tempted by carbo foods like either potato chips or bread or popcorn or cake. That would be the thing. It calls them to go carby.
Okay. What about the pituitary type?
The pituitary are, well, that they're the nerd body type. The bigger head, curly hair, body not fit looking. Just even distribution of fat, Cabbage Patch doll kind of body type.
Okay. What
And they
about
will be tempted by yogurt or cream or fluffy stuff, creamy things.
okay.
And their health food is the organ meats.
Okay. What about adrenal type?
So they're built like the weightlifters,
Okay.
the workhorses of the world. They are usually stocky. So they're usually not making fashion magazines unless they are. I mentioned Simone Biles. You probably remember her, right?
Yeah.
Or other gymnasts. In men, you usually see them as linebackers on the football team. They are, and they have the stamina. Like they can go for hours at crazy output of energy. The thyroid types don't sustain it. They need to take a break.
Mm. And the adrenals, they eat a lot of meats.
They would gain weight on fats and they'd be tempted by savory foods. So for them, a skinny diet will be steak and salad, low amount of dressing.
Okay. I got you.
Not so much oil. Trim the fat off your steak if you're the adrenal. If you're the thyroid, leave it on in, please. No, do not buy lean hamburger.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the ovary dominant women.
Okay, well, they are essentially a thyroid type with the hot food added in.
Okay.
So they will respond, most of them will respond as a thyroid type, but love hot food. Like Szechuan Chinese would be their ultimate home plate, or Thai food or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. That's interesting. So, okay, you shared your story earlier, and so what brought you to this formula? So I know you were on a journey to heal yourself and to figure out what was going on with you. But what made you want to work with people and use this type of modality to help them?
It was a funny story. It was 1992. I met a man and he said, write me a letter about what you really want in your life. And so I wrote a letter. And in the letter, I wrote, I want to help people heal themselves from their problems, especially those caused by industrial society. And I want to do that by the thousands, if not by the millions. At that point, I was not in the business. At that point, I was doing management consulting and I was involved deeply in computers and accounting.
And so from that letter, you sent
Well,
to him.
eight years later, I started the business. You need to watch what you write down.
I agree.
Called journaling and committing, and you write it down in your hand, and it's sort of like placing an order at the order counter in the universe,
Yes,
right?
I
And
agree.
if you place the order, they'll bring it to you.
Mm-hmm.
It happened.
Yes, 1000%. So what made you want to use this modality?
Well, it answers so many questions. It just so works. I know which amino acids, which minerals, which vitamins to push on you and which ones to hold back because I already know how your metabolism works. I can fine tune your entire nutritional program, exercise program too. I can tell you what will work better and what will work less well.
Interesting. So like the adrenal type, I would guess that their workouts are more like powerlifting, anaerobic.
Yeah. Do you know or have you watched Joe Rogan?
I have watched a few of his episodes, yes.
He looks exactly like an adrenal.
Adrenal, yeah.
His arms are like so, right? Like up muscles
Yeah.
up to here, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Yeah. And he will do kettlebell workouts with a 90-pound kettlebell, treating it like it's a toy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, interesting. And then would the pituitary be more like swimming or yoga,
Mm,
Pilates,
they have high endurance. Like they make awesome
runners?
runners
Okay.
if they can be, but they will prefer intellectual pursuits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They make awesome teachers. They make great researchers. It's I don't know. Joe, what's his name? There's an actor. His name is also Rogan. He laughs like a funny guy. I'm trying to think of his name, but anyway, you can just visualize him. Curly hair, head this big.
Yeah. And then for the thyroid, what movement are they mostly in?
Well, they will respond best to interval training,
Mm,
which will be high intensity, short duration rest.
okay.
Like find the weight with which you can do only 10 reps. You exhaust yourself in 10 reps, you can't make 11th. So if it's, I don't know, for men, if you're doing curls, if 25 pounds tires you in 10, so do 25. If 45 tires you in 10, well, then you're going to do 45. But it's that. So anyway, you do your 10 reps and then you breathe it out. And you only need to do that for like 12 minutes a day and you're fit as a fiddle.
I like that.
Yeah.
Great. Very cool. So, can you share with the listeners where can they like take this test or how do they, reach you?
Yeah.
Like wondering what type
I'm
of
not the only place on the planet that you can find this. The fellow that invented it or put it together is Bill Walcott or William Walcott, you will find this procedure at Life Enthusiast, our website. That's life-enthusiast.com. Look up Metabolic. It'll pop with a bunch of podcasts and the information, and you can actually review the entire thing before you pay for it. You will get the results back after you pay for the license, but you can completely play with it all you want before you even push the go button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so for people, what people do you think would benefit most from taking this quiz and getting this information?
Well, if you're having struggles with your weight, then I can answer that. If you're having struggles with your mood management, I can help you with that. If you're foggy thinking, can't recall things, have issues, I can push a lot of light into that space. I don't know, almost anything that's metabolic, chronic, degenerative, whether it's obesity, high blood pressure, whatever, all of the inflammatory stuff that comes your way, that comes there because of inputs that are causing inflammation. We can help correct that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Can you share with anyone any social media handles that you're on?
Yeah, Life and Co. LIFENTCO on Telegram and YouTube and Rumble and I don't know. I don't remember. I haven't spent a lot of time on X.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's come to the website. It's going to be more focused because whatever you type into the search box will find something useful.
yeah. Okay. Well, we will put that information in the show notes. And thank you so much, Martin, for sharing your knowledge today. This was very interesting.
Yeah, you're welcome. I enjoyed doing it.